hollow. It's been almost a year since Dad vanished without a trace. Every day, I watch Mom stare at the framed photo of him on the mantelpiece, her gaze sharp and hollow. My little sister, Mia, still calls out for him, her small voice echoing in a house that feels dead. Since Dad left, our family has been in a state of suspended animation, punctuated only by the sound of weeping. My name is Elara. I'm 20 now. I was in college, studying civil engineering. But when Dad disappeared, so did the money for my expensive tuition. I had to drop out. His disappearance began on a bright morning, the kind that promises nothing but good things. He was heading out to his job as a foreman on a massive interstate expansion project, carving a new highway through the dense, ancient hills of West Virginia. He kissed Mom, told her he loved her, and gave Mia and me a final wave. We had no idea it would be the last time we'd ever see him. He never came home from his shift. As the oldest, I tried to get answers. I went to the contractor's office, questioning his coworkers, his supervisors. It was like hitting a brick wall. Everyone clammed up. No one knew anything, or so they claimed. Day after day, I searched, clinging to a hope that was wearing thin. Then, one day, I heard something. A stray comment from one of Dad's former crew members, a man named Andy. I was walking near the construction site, a scar of red clay and steel across the green landscape, when I overheard him talking to another worker. I swear, he was a sacrifice, Andy muttered, his voice low. The word hit me like a physical blow. A sacrifice? I stepped out from behind a stack of concrete barriers and confronted him. A sacrifice? What do you mean? Are you talking about my father, Tony? Andy's face went pale. No, miss, it's not like that. I was just talking nonsense. I heard you, I insisted, my voice shaking. You said his name. My dad's name is Tony Miller. Please, let's talk over there. I led him away from the other workers, to a quieter spot near the edge of the woods. Don't pay any mind to what I said, he stammered, his eyes darting around nervously. I was just running my mouth. But I heard you clearly, I pressed. He's been gone for a year. I came here right after he disappeared, and none of you would tell me anything. Please, what do you know? He sighed, his shoulders slumping in defeat. Look, he said, his voice barely a whisper. If you really want to know, if you want to understand, you need to come out to the new overpass. Be there on the night of the next full moon. You'll see for yourself. Before I could ask more, Andy turned and walked away quickly, the fear on his face as clear as day. The overpass wasn't far from our house. I'd driven past it 100 times, listening to the gossip and rumors from the construction crews, but never had I heard anything like this. The phrase, full moon, became a key, unlocking a door to a place I wasn't sure I wanted to enter. I was terrified, but I was also desperate. I decided not to tell Mom or Mia. I couldn't bear to give them false hope, or worse, expose them to the horror that was beginning to take shape in my mind. Instead, I went to my best friend Leo. He'd known my family forever and understood the weight of my father's disappearance. Leo, I need to talk to you, I said, finding him on his porch. What's up, Elara? You look like you've seen a ghost. I might have a lead. About my dad, I told him everything what I'd overheard Andy say and his cryptic instruction to go to the bridge. The next full moon is tomorrow night. Will you come with me? He looked at me, his expression serious. Are you sure about this? It sounds insane. What other choice do I have? It's the only thing I've heard in a year. We have to try. Yeah, he conceded. You're right. Okay, I'll be there. I'll go with you. Thank you, Leo. You're the best friend I could ask for. I went home, my mind racing. I worried about Mom and Mia. They still hadn't accepted that Dad might be gone for good, and I felt a heavy responsibility to protect them. When I walked through the door, my heart stopped. Mom was lying on the floor, unconscious. Mia was kneeling beside her, sobbing. I screamed for help, and our neighbors came running. Together, we got Mom to the nearest regional hospital. The drive was a blur of prayers and Mia's choked sobs. My world was collapsing. At the hospital, doctors rushed her into the emergency room, while I held my crying sister, my own fear, a cold knot in my stomach. The doctor told us it wasn't a heart attack. Her body had finally given out from the chronic stress and anxiety. Her blood pressure was dangerously high, and she had a severe stomach ulcer. She needed complete rest and a carefully managed diet. I nodded, promising to be stricter with her. I told her she had to fight, to get better for me and Mia, not just for the memory of Dad. She just nodded weakly. Mia and I stayed with her, refusing to leave her side. We decided to sleep in the hospital room. That night, around midnight, something strange happened. Mom and Mia were asleep. The hospital was quiet, wrapped in an unnatural stillness. In my head, the voice was a faint, sorrowful whisper, yet it sounded exactly like my father. I shot up in my chair, my heart pounding. I scanned the room, but there was nothing. The voice came again, from the hallway. I had to know. I crept out of the room and followed the sound down the long, sterile corridor. The air grew cold and damp, raising goosebumps on my arms. My steps echoed unnervously as the whisper led me on, pulling me toward the hospital's basement. Without realizing it, I found myself standing before the double doors of the morgue. A profound, bone-chilling terror seized me. I screamed and ran, not stopping until I was back in the safety of Mom's room, my breath coming in ragged gasps. My face was pale, my body drenched in a cold sweat. "You idiot, Elara," I scolded myself. "You know you're a coward. Why would you follow a disembodied voice?" I tried to calm myself by watching my mother's sleeping form, eventually drifting into a restless sleep of my own. The next morning, Mom was awake. She looked frail, her energy all but gone. "Mom, I'll go get you some breakfast," I said gently. "You need to eat before you take your medicine." She nodded. I left Mia with her and quickly found the cafeteria. I fed her slowly, relieved that she ate without protest. I almost forgot my plan with Leo. "Mom," I said, "I have to meet Leo this evening. We have to take care of something. Is it okay if I go?" "Of course, honey," she whispered. "You need a break. You've been here the whole time. If you're late, just go home. Mia can stay with me." "I'll try to be back early, Mom." I left for Leo's house, a long drive from the hospital. When I arrived, it was 5 p.m. and he was waiting for me. "Should we head out now?" he asked. "Let's wait until after sunset," I said. "Besides, I'm exhausted from being at the hospital. Let's sit for a bit and plan this out." We sat on his porch, mapping out our strategy. The construction site was technically closed to the public. It was dangerous, filled with heavy machinery. We knew we couldn't just walk in. The project ran 24/7, a relentless push to meet deadlines. We decided to bring a couple of old hard hats and steel-toed boots from his garage. We weren't there to work, but safety was important. You never know when disaster might strike. As we planned, I told him about the voice I'd heard in the hospital. "It was Dad," I said, my voice trembling. "He asked me to find his head. It gives me chills just thinking about it." Leo looked troubled. "I've heard old stories from around here, Lara, about people who die violently and whose bodies aren't complete. They say their spirits wander, searching for what they lost. I'm worried this is a sign that you're Dad, that he's gone, and part of him is missing." "But he's not dead," I said, more to convince myself than him. It was probably just my imagination. I was tired. Leo looked like he regretted what he'd said, but I brushed it off. Instead of guessing, let's just finish our plan and get to the site. We finalized our strategy. We would approach on foot to avoid the noise of a car alerting the night crew. Thankfully, the overpass wasn't far. With our gear packed and our plan set, we headed out. We arrived at the location and found a concealed spot with a clear view of the overpass. We watched and waited, the minutes stretching into hours. For 2 hours, nothing happened. "Maybe there's nothing here," I whispered, disappointed. "Let's just go home." "Hang on, Elara," Leo said. "It's only 10 p.m. Maybe something happens later. Let's give it 1 more hour." "Okay, 1 more hour. Then I have to get back to the hospital." A few minutes later, I saw movement. A group of men, their movements furtive and suspicious. They were carrying something heavy in a large, dirty burlap sack. I could see dark, rust-colored stains on the fabric. Blood. My breath caught in my throat. We watched them more closely, slinking nearer to get a better view. There were 3 of them. From their clean clothes and white hard hats, I could tell they weren't laborers. They were supervisors. In addition to the sack, they carried a shovel. One of them started digging in the earth directly beneath a massive concrete support pillar for the new overpass. He dug a deep hole. Then, they opened the sack. Leo and I froze, paralyzed by what we saw. They pulled out a severed human head, covered in blood and dirt. We were in shock, unable to speak or move. They placed the head in the hole and quickly buried it. Then, they began a strange ritual. They sprinkled some kind of powder over the freshly turned earth and lit bundles of dried herbs, chanting words in a language I didn't recognize. It was some kind of dark, twisted ceremony. The ritual lasted for about an hour. Afterward, they packed up their things and left, moving cautiously, as if to ensure no one from the night crew had seen them. Leo and I remained hidden, speechless. My face was ashen, my mind reeling. My entire body went cold. Leo saw my state and put a comforting arm around me. "Elara, are you okay?" I could only shake my head, unable to form words. The horror of what I'd just witnessed was too much. "Let's go home," he said softly. "I don't want anything bad to happen to you out here." He helped me back to his house and made me a cup of hot tea, but my gaze was distant, my hands trembling. The image of the severed head was burned into my mind. A terrifying thought surfaced. Was my father sacrificed like that? Is he really gone? But why him? And if that was just his head, where is the rest of him? The questions swirled in my head until they broke free as a choked sob, then a full-blown wail of grief and rage. It wasn't fair. Leo tried to comfort me, his own face a mask of disbelief and anger. "Calm down, Elara, breathe," he urged. "How can I be calm, Leo? What if that happened to my dad? Don't jump to conclusions. We just have to pray he's okay, wherever he is." "We have to investigate this," I said, my grief hardening into resolve. "If we don't, more people will die. I can't believe they could do this, treat a human being like trash. We have to find out who they are and why." "I agree," Leo said. "I think they're in league with some dark entity that lives in these hills. They're making a pact." I slowly regained control of my emotions, but the anger simmered just beneath the surface. How could people be so monstrous? Suddenly, a faint whisper came from the direction of Leo's backyard. "Fin my head?" This time, Leo heard it too. His eyes widened. We looked at each other, a silent agreement passing between us. We had to see. We moved slowly toward the back of the house, our fear a palpable thing between us. When we reached the backyard, we stopped dead. There, standing under the pale moonlight, was the figure of a man in a construction worker's uniform. His neck ended in a grotesque, bloody stump. There was no head. We screamed, but our feet were rooted to the spot, as if locked in place. Our faces went sheet white, cold sweat pouring down our temples. The figure drifted closer and closer. "Why can't I move my legs?" I hissed in panic. "I don't know. Mine are stuck too," Leo whispered back, his voice tight with terror. The headless figure was now only inches away from us. A familiar voice echoed in our minds, though its mouth was gone. "Elara, help me." I recognized it instantly. It was the same voice from the hospital, the same voice I'd heard my whole life. It was my father. "Dad? Find my head, my child." No, you're not my dad. My dad is alive." The figure lunged forward. Two cold, strong hands wrapped around my throat, and a horrifying, gurgling laughter filled the air. Leo and I screamed again, and then the world went black as we both collapsed to the ground. While I was unconscious, I dreamt. A tall, well-built man stood before me in a dark void. He beckoned to me, a silent gesture to follow. I walked behind him as he led me through a dense, foggy forest. He never spoke a word. After a long walk, he stopped. "What you are looking for is inside that mound of earth," he said, his voice a gentle echo, pointing to a small, raised patch of ground nearby. Then, he vanished. I was alone. I walked over to the mound and began digging with a broken tree branch. Slowly, I cleared away the dirt. It didn't take long before I saw something. A clump of dark hair. My hands trembled, but I kept digging, desperate to know. And then I saw it. A human head. I pulled it from the earth, my stomach churning. I cleaned the dirt from its face, and my world shattered. It was my father's head. He had been missing for a year, and this is where he was. I held it in my arms, a scream tearing from my throat, feeling my sanity fray at the edges. Just as I was about to embrace the horrifying discovery, A hand shook my shoulder. Elara! Elara! Wake up! My eyes flew open. I was on the ground in Leo's backyard. Roosters were crowing. The sun was rising. It had just been a dream. A horribly vivid dream. What happened? Leo asked, his face etched with worry. You were screaming in your sleep. I was just thinking about my dad. Slowly, we got to our feet. I have to go see my mom, I said, the events of the night crashing down on me. When we got to the hospital, Mom's bed was empty. Mia was gone too. Panic seized me. We frantically searched for them, asking nurses and staff, but no one had seen them. Tears streamed down my face as I stood in the empty hallway, utterly lost. Elara. I turned to see Mia running toward me. Oh, thank God. Where were you? Where's Mom? We were in the examination room, Elara. The doctor was checking on her. We rushed to the room and found Mom sitting on the exam table. Her eyes were vacant, lost in the shadow of the year-long vigil she had kept for my father. I knew then that her illness wasn't just physical. Her heart was broken. After everything I had been through, I made a decision. I would find my father, whether he was alive or dead. I would accept whatever truth awaited me, but my first priority had to be my mother's health. I told Leo my plan, and he promised to stand by me. The dream I had, the strange vision in the woods, felt like more than just a nightmare. It was a clue. Leo, help me find my dad. Alive or dead, I need to know. Of course, Elara. Where do we start? At the construction site, where he worked. The same plan as last night? Yes. But this time I know what I'm looking for. A small clearing in the woods. I need to find out if my dream was real. What dream? The dream that he was buried there, with his head separated from his body. You have to stay calm, Elara, he warned. We can't end up like last night. I will, I promised. I'm ready to face whatever comes. I went back to Mom. I tried to comfort her, to pull her back from the empty place she had retreated to. Mom, you have to be strong. For me, for Mia. As for Dad, I promise I will find him and bring him home to you. Are you sure, honey? I'm sure, Mom. He came to me in a dream. He showed me a clue to where he is. A flicker of light returned to her eyes. Is he okay in your dream? He's okay, Mom. He's at peace. I'm so relieved to hear that. Please bring him home for me, Elara. I will, Mom. I promise. That conversation seemed to help her. Her vacant stare softened. After the doctor finished his checks, we took her back to her room. As night fell, I asked for her permission to leave again, and she gave it without hesitation. I met up with Leo, and we prepared to return to the project site. This time, I was looking for something specific. A small patch of woods, I thought. That was the first clue. We found a small, dense grove of trees not far from the overpass. Once inside, I searched for the place for my dream, and then I saw it. Here, I whispered. This is the place. That's the same mound of earth. Let's dig, Leo said. We started digging, this time with a shovel Leo had brought. Soon, our shovel hit something hard. We cleared the dirt away and uncovered a human skull. I knew it was him. A small, distinctive birthmark was still visible on the preserved skin of his scalp. I collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. My worst nightmare was real. Leo tried to comfort me, but my grief was a storm that couldn't be calmed. In the midst of my tears, I heard a man's voice from behind us. Bury him properly. Reunite him with his body. We turned. It was the spirit of my father, his form shimmering in the moonlight. He was still searching for peace. I carefully wrapped my father's skull in a cloth and brought it home. Mom and Mia were still at the hospital, so the house was empty. I couldn't imagine my mother's reaction if she saw this. My father was gone, murdered in the most horrific way imaginable. I swore on his memory that I would make the monsters who did this pay, and I knew he wasn't the only one. How many others had they buried out here? I had to find out why. My first thought was to find Andy. He was the one who first hinted at the darkness surrounding this project. Accompanied by Leo, I went back to the construction site and asked for him. Andy? One of the workers said. He hasn't worked here in months. Do you know where he lives? Not far from here. 5 Pankasila Road. He gave us the address. It was an odd street name for this area, but I was grateful. Before we left, I had to ask. Excuse me, I said to the worker. Do you know if a lot of workers have died here unnaturally? A lot, miss, he confirmed, but most of them were ruled as work accidents. Have you ever heard of them? Using workers' heads as sacrifices? The man's face went rigid. I don't know anything about that, he said, his voice trembling. He was lying. If I say I don't know, I don't know. Now stop bothering me. He was terrified. They were all terrified. Leo and I left and drove to the address we were given. We found a small rundown house and knocked on the door. After several attempts, the door finally opened. It was Andy. Elara, he said, surprised. What are you doing here? I know everything, Andy, I said calmly. I know my father didn't disappear. He was murdered. How do you know? His spirit came to me. It led me to his body. Please, tell me what really happened. Andy looked defeated. He invited us in. His face was pale, his hands shaking as he finally told us the truth. About a year and a half ago, when the project started, everything was normal. Your dad and I were friends. One night, on a full moon, he accidentally saw the supervisors performing a ritual, sacrificing a human head. He started investigating quietly. He found out they were making offerings to appease some ancient entity that lived in these hills, a spirit they believed would ensure the project's success and make them rich. They hired an occultist to guide them. The sacrifices had to be workers from the project. Anyone who discovered their secret became the next offering. Your father found out too much, and they took him. His head was buried near the bridge. His body is in the woods somewhere. Is there any way to stop them? I asked. I don't know, Andy said. That's why I quit. I didn't want to be next. Where is my father's body? Look in the woods, not far from where you found his head. It might be there. He hesitated. I also want to find all the victims. It's possible, isn't it? I don't think you can find them all, he said sadly. There have been so many. My heart broke. My father died trying to expose these monsters. I had to finish what he started. What if we report this to the police? Leo suggested. I agree, I said. Andy, you could be a witness. We could get help from a spiritual leader, someone who can deal with the entity. But they're powerful people, Andy worried. They're protected by something dark. What if we fail? We have to try, I insisted. For my father, and for all the other victims, they deserve peace. After a long moment, Andy nodded. Okay, I'll help you, for Tony. We spent the next few days planning. I was so focused on justice that I barely visited my mother. I knew I had to tell her the truth, but I dreaded it. When I finally went to the hospital, I found her looking weaker than ever. I knew it was time. Mom, I began, my voice heavy. I found out what happened to Dad. I told her everything, my words stumbling out. He's in a better place now, Mom. He's at peace. The news broke her. Her eyes, already so full of sorrow, went completely blank. Her body went limp, and her breath hitched. The heart monitor beside her bed began to blare. Doctors rushed in, but it was too late. She was gone, her heart unable to bear the weight of the truth. I had lost both my parents. Now, I was filled with a cold, burning rage. There was nothing left but revenge. The day after my mother's funeral, I finalized my plan. It was simple, but dangerous. The next full moon was approaching. Leo and I would return to the site, but this time, we would be armed with a hidden camera. We would get proof. That night, we hid in the same spot as before. We waited. Soon, the 3 supervisors appeared, carrying another burlap sack. They performed their horrific ritual, burying the head and chanting their dark incantations. I filmed everything, my hands steady despite the fury coursing through my veins. The next morning, with the video evidence on my phone and my father's skull carefully wrapped in a box, I walked into the state police barracks. Andy was with me, ready to give his testimony. The plan worked flawlessly. The evidence was undeniable. Dad, I whispered to myself as the police prepared a tactical team. They're going to be arrested. I'll find you, and all the others, and give you a proper burial. The raid was swift. The police stormed the construction site and arrested the 3 supervisors. As they were being led away in handcuffs, I confronted them. Where is my father's body? I screamed. Where are the others? Terrified, one of them pointed toward a specific area in the woods next to the overpass. I ran. with Leo and Andy right behind me. I found a patch of disturbed earth and began digging with my bare hands until Leo stopped me and found a shovel. He and Andy dug. It wasn't deep. We found bodies. So many bodies, buried together in a shallow, unmarked grave. I saw my father's work clothes and collapsed, my screams echoing through the forest. The police swarmed the area, cordoning it off as a massive crime scene. The process of exhuming the victims began. As they carefully lifted each body bag from the earth, I felt a strange sense of peace settle over me. The ritual of sacrificing human heads for the sake of profit and progress was over. The men responsible would face the death penalty. As I stood there, watching, I saw them. The faint, translucent figures of my father and the other victims, their heads restored. They smiled at me, a look of profound gratitude on their faces, before they faded away into the morning light. I had lost my family, but I had brought them justice. And in the silent, haunted hollow of West Virginia, the dead could finally rest. And that's where our story tonight, The Toll of the Hollow, comes to an end. What did you all think of this tale? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. Thank you to everyone who listened all the way through to the end. I hope you are all staying safe and healthy, and that you find success and happiness in everything you do. A special thank you to the original author, Elara and Leo, for allowing the story to be shared. I apologize for any mispronunciations or errors in my telling. For now, I'll be signing off. Until next time, take care.